Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy WattsTV, man, and today we are going to be talking about Nick Fuentes and how someone came to his house with plans to basically unalive him. But before we get into it, I just want to remind you guys to please do not forget to share, like, and subscribe. Guys, we are getting closer and closer to that 15K goal by the end of the month, so make sure you run it up, run it up, run it up. Please share, like, and subscribe. It really helps out with the channel, and it lets me know that you are rocking with the content. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. While you're at it, please do me a favor and join the Discord. I'll have a link to that in the description down below. And follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Watts_TV94. That is twitch.tv/Watts_TV94. I go live every Saturday around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about this white supremacist yet again. All right, so we are over here on Twitter, and Nick tweeted this out to the media, which is currently attempting to sweep up the assassination attempt against me. Here is further evidence. The unaliver drove 2.5 hours directly to my house where he parked, then attempting to gain entry to my home in the front and back for 10 minutes until police arrived. He also posted these ring clips basically showing that the intruder did have a pew-pew and he was basically trying to gain access into Nick's house. So let's watch a few of these clips, I guess. So this is him pulling up to Nick's house. First off, I don't know why he hasn't even tried to move already. Like, bruh, just move. I know it's easier said than done, but you need to move, bro. Like, why are you staying here? So, yep, he's comfortably walking up to Nick's house with a bag, and he has a motorcycle helmet on, I think. Some sort of helmet. I don't know. All right, I may have to blur this out, but as you can see here, oh, he is holding a crossbow, and that looks like a pew-pew in his hand, if I'm not mistaken. Huh. He's opening the door, and he's knocking on the door. The fact that he's knocking on the door is wild. I wonder why he was so comfortable with just simply knocking on the door, as if Nick would open the door for someone he wasn't expecting to show up at his house. Oh, wait, my bad. It's because he did that already with that woman that came to ring his doorbell just to have a talk. He opened it quickly and pepper sprayed her and pushed her down the steps. So maybe he thought he would do the same for him. But the only difference is here, sir. Yeah, you have a crossbow and a pew-pew. So yeah, of course, Nick isn't going to open the door for you. Like, come on, you had to assume with everything going on that he had cameras at least. And as you can see, this is him going through the backyard. I'm assuming he saw a camera or something. Window, I don't know. He's pacing. Looks like he's trying to find a way in. Okay, so these are the cops. The cops are now chasing him.
He's in the alley. You just have to find some alley. What's up?
Hear the sirens, okay. And this is the footage of him, I think, running through Nick's backyard, apparently. Yep. Oh, and it looks like he dropped his bag. So he dropped all of his stuff with identification with his stuff. Good job. This guy was not very smart. I'm assuming they found him. And what are you doing? Whoa. So you can see over here that pew-pews are being shot. I hope this video doesn't get demonetized. It's just the noise. I had to do a little more research, and I found out that the guy that actually approached Nick's house, apparently he did unalive 2 other people, unfortunately. Now, guys, let me say this. You know how I already feel about Nick Fuentes. I don't care about him. I really don't. Like, he's a... Again, why would I care about a white supremacist? However, do I think that it's okay for someone to come onto his property and essentially try to unalive him? No, I don't think that's okay. And let me just say this. I'm glad that the cops took care of him. Yo, we all know that Nick is a POS, but you cannot go onto someone else's property with the intention of unaliving him. Like, come on. We all know that's wrong. However, I'm starting to notice a theme here. For example, Nick Fuentes tweeted, "To the media which is currently attempting to sweep up the assassination attempt against me, here is further evidence. The unaliver drove 2.5 hours directly to my house where he parked, then attempting to gain entry to my home, blah, 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 blah." And at the end of this tweet, he says, "Both the media and the police have refused to acknowledge the fact that was an attempt on my life. Tell the truth." So this is a separate account that goes by the name of Conservative, and they tweeted out, "Why is the media ignoring the attempted unaliving of Nick Fuentes? Media is skimming over the unaliving attempt of Nick Fuentes at his home. Social media platforms are continuing to allow doxing and threats against him. The question we're asking is why?" Do you really have to ask why? First off, let me just start off with this. Even though I said what I said about, the unaliving attempt, and I said that it was wrong and I denounce it. However, you cannot be a terrible person in this country and expect people to support you and stand by you. Are you slow? Are you stupid? You have constantly praised Hitler. You say racist things all the time. You said the Holocaust was not real. Bro, you've said way more than that. You're not a good person. You aren't a good person. And honestly, Nick needs to take some sort of accountability here. And I know what you guys are saying. Well, why does Nick have to take accountability? He needs to take accountability for his actions and the things that he says. He previously said to women, "Your body, my choice." And he has once told women that they need to take accountability for the things that happen to him, i.e. grape. Maybe you shouldn't dress a certain way. Well, I'm sorry. Maybe you shouldn't say racist crap on the internet. Maybe people would not be trying to unalive you, stupid. You want women to take accountability for the way that they are dressed, but you don't want to take accountability for the way that you say things online. Get out of here. Get out. It doesn't work that way, okay? And I'm sorry. You really want me to feel sorry for a white supremacist? You guys are never going to get me to feel sorry for somebody that hates me and my kind. You're not going to get me to do it. Did someone come onto your property with a pew-pew and try to assassinate? That's too bad. We need to do something, guys. Poor Nick. Wah. I don't care. I don't care. Why would I care about somebody that doesn't care about me or my kind? I don't care. Like I said before, I do not want necessarily anything to happen to him, because you guys have to remember, we cannot play God. Is he a terrible person? Yes, but does that give you a right to take his life because of the things that he said online? No. Whatever happens to Nick is not up to you. It's not. So just let karma play out. But again, if something did happen to him, I would not be sad, because I don't care. I don't care. I really don't care. Why would I care about a Hitler-loving white supremacist that doesn't like me? So? People dox my house. People are coming up to my doorstep. People are going in my backyard. Wah! Wah! Well, too bad. How about your dumb move? Yeah. Maybe you should move. If this situation did not say move, then I don't know what will. I really don't. Your dumb ass needs to move. And I know that's easier said than done, but you need to do something. Okay? If you don't, then your life is going to be at stake here. It's just so funny that he has been a terrible person, and he can't even see that he's been a terrible person, but he wants everybody to be by his side when this happens to him. But you know what? Let a black person get murdered in their house. Do you know what he would say? Well, were they selling drugs? What criminal activity were they up to? Because something had to happen. There's no way someone would just come up to their door and unalive a black person because they're black. There's no way. He would ask all the questions and say all of the racist things that you can imagine, because that's what he does. I'm gonna say this one more time. Everybody, stay away from his house. Leave him alone. Stay away from his house. I understand you don't like him. You disagree with him. He's a POS. For your safety, stay away from his house. But yeah, I'm still flabbergasted. The media isn't doing anything. Why aren't they helping me? Why aren't they spreading this news? I don't understand why no one is standing beside me. Wham! Cry, cry, cry. Get the fuck out of here. This is why I do not understand these type of people. I really don't. They can talk the most crap online, say the most disgusting things, but when something bad happens to them, they expect people to stand in their corner. Get out of here. You did not have the same humanity when you were making fun and saying all this racist crap online towards different groups, ethnicities, races, genders. You didn't have any type of humanity. You most definitely were not a nice person. So why the do you expect for people to stand beside you when you aren't standing beside them? You're a white supremacist, stupid. Nobody likes you besides other white supremacists. That's why Myron is constantly sucking you off. Go. Deep in there. Now let's switch gears here. Speaking of Myron, there is just something that I want to correct him on, because he's actually stupid. For someone that claims to be a Fed, he's a moron that doesn't understand the law. So I'm going to play a clip for you guys, and I am going to tell you guys why Myron is wrong.
We all know that Nick had a assassin show up at his front door. Maybe that news didn't break when these two had filmed this video before and then thinking that it's a good idea to drop it. But what ended up actually happening with Nick's assassin showing up to his front door is it vindicated me. And when me and Fresh were having this discussion that Anus and Reach were talking about, trying to say that Fresh won the debate, which, they're just trying to drive a wedge. They don't really think anybody won. They're just losers. One of the things they were saying is, Nick didn't have the right to open his door and mace her and all this other bullshit. But now, since he did that space and we knew all these facts, well, we know that not only did this woman walk up to his front door, but she was standing outside of his house recording and saying a bunch of shit, antagonizing him, right? Then she walks up to the front door, camera in hand, recording his front door, recording his address, etc. And that's when he opened the door, and we saw what transpired. Now, why is this important? Because I know Nick personally, so I knew when I was saying, me and Fresh were having this discussion, that Nick would never just open a door and just fucking knock him down some stairs and mace him. He had to have gotten to a certain point to do that, and I was vindicated when he did his space. He went ahead and said, guys, look, we had 20 documented instances where people actually tried to walk up to my house or interact with the property. My security had to stop them. Then he dropped the other bombshell, no pun intended, that a federal law enforcement agency, which I'm sure is probably the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, I don't think he mentioned an agency, but it's definitely them, probably contacted the local police. They called them at 1 a.m. and said, hey, look, in your mail, there's fucking explosives. You need to be careful checking it out, right? Then, to cherry on the top, we saw what happened. That guy showed up at his house with the assassination. So let's bring this back a second. These idiots are trying to say that I'm wrong for defending Nick for his right to defend himself because he opened up the door and shouldn't have been looking for problems. Well, you two cucked out Canadians clearly don't understand the castle doctrine and don't understand that in the United States, your front yard counts as something called curtilage. What is curtilage? Curtilage, my friends, is the area surrounding your home, your front yard, etc. Now, how do I know curtilage? I know because when I used to write federal search warrants to search a subject's home, we not only had to write a warrant for the actual structure and property, but we also had to write paper or get probable cause to enter the curtilage on the property to actually execute the warrant. So for all the people that say, oh, Nick didn't have a right to defend himself there because she was outside and he didn't necessarily have to open the door. Well, guess what? The castle doctrine, which in Illinois actually does have, allows Nick to stay and basically stand his ground in his castle, right, and do what he needed to do. And obviously, we have these aggravating circumstances where she was recording before, antagonizing him. He sees the car, another car of a woman out there. He doesn't know what's going on. She's recording his house. He doesn't know what she's setting up. So when he comes out, he, does what he does, right? So, one second, sorry guys, I'm almost losing my voice here. So these idiots clearly don't understand this shit because they're Canadians and they're cucked. So he did what he did, right? And Innocent Reach were trying to say, oh yeah, that's stupid, whatever. Now, as you guys know, he ended up getting arrested for this later. He had to turn himself in, he had a court date, etc. But just because you get arrested, guys, doesn't mean you're guilty. There's something called due process. And if anything, though it's horrible what happened to Nick with this assassin showing up at his door, it lends credence to how he behaved when he pushed this woman. Even though it occurred after the alleged crime, it's absolutely pertinent to the facts and the pattern in the case where he had a very reasonable, how do I say this, fear for his life, right? Which is why he acted the way with that woman. So I predict if, Nick has a good attorney, that attorney is going to bring to light the fact that, look, this guy didn't just like come and mace and push this woman for no reason. He had, 20 people showing up before. An assassin showed up at his house, so he obviously was in fear of his life. He had a bomb threat at his house with the mail. And also another thing a lot of people don't know, people were mailing poop to his house.
Yeah, I really don't understand how Myron was ever in any type of law enforcement. Well, he knows what he's doing here. He's being very disingenuous. All right, so let's just get one thing straight. I was not aware that the woman was recording his house and yelling outside, basically trying to antagonize Nick Fuentes. If that is indeed true, then it might change how the situation is evaluated legally, if that makes any sense. But even with that being said, it still may not even justify the use of force under Illinois law or the Castle Doctrine unless specific criteria are met. And when I say criteria, for example, like antagonizing behavior. Yelling and recording, even if antagonistic, are not inherently illegal or threatening actions. These behaviors alone generally do not justify the use of force under Illinois law. So if her behavior included direct threats of harm, for example, saying, I'm gonna unalive you, or I'm just gonna hurt you in general, this could let a reasonable person essentially fear for their safety. But the issue is, that's not what Nick said happened. He just basically said that she was antagonizing him and just recording his house. Now, Nick could argue that her actions, yelling and recording his house, made him feel basically threatened. However, the law typically requires more than subjective fear. There must be a reasonable belief of immediate harm or unlawful entry. Simply being frustrated or annoyed by antagonizing behavior is not enough to justify the use of force, stupid. And you brought up the Castle Doctrine. Fine, let's bring up the Castle Doctrine. And all of you can do this research on your own as well. All you have to do is Google and read. That's it. Under Illinois law, the Castle Doctrine allows force only when necessary to prevent harm or a forcible felony. If her actions, i.e. yelling, recording, did not involve an attempt to enter the home or present an immediate risk of harm, the doctrine would likely not apply. That's why I said Myron is being very disingenuous here. I understand trying to defend your friends, but if they did something wrong, they did something wrong. Do not try to stick up for them for the fact that they are simply your friend. If my friend assaulted somebody because they rang his doorbell, you are not gonna see me say, hey yo, free Pookie, free my man's Pookie. What the hell are you doing opening the door anyway? I love how Myron just glazes over that fact. She didn't have a weapon. She didn't have anything that could harm Nick. All she did was walk up to his doorsteps and he maced that woman and he pushed her. You can't do that, stupid. That's not how self-defense works. And again, it is really alarming that Myron used to be a Fed because he obviously does not understand these things. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you agree with anything that I said? Do you disagree? Please do me a favor and let me know in the comments down below. Like I said before, do not forget to share, like, and subscribe. It really helps out with the channel. Guys, make sure you run it up. Let's make sure we get to 15K by the end of this month. So subscribe. Also make sure that you follow me on Twitch and also make sure you join the Discord. I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.